To have you guys with us for one more episode. This is episode 2, and I think I'm gonna name it Pilot 2, Pilot Part 2. We're still figuring some things out, but it's gonna be great. We have Elvis in the building. Elvis, what up? We got Dice in the building. Dice, my brother. Production is here. We're here. We're gonna have a great little conversation about some horse racing. We're gonna talk about a few things. But yeah, it's Goodwood. It's glorious Goodwood week. It is glorious Goodwood week, and we're super excited about that. And so that brings me up to quickly every week, well, every time we do this, I'm gonna do Jockey of the Day. I think we discussed that would be a really cool thing. It'll get you guys familiar with some of the jockeys and some of the ones coming up, some of the ones that are just on the rise and doing their thing. So yeah, Jockey of the Day, and it has to be huge fan of his, and I want you guys, everyone, to check him out. Kaya Frazier, he did his thing today. I believe it was on Dr. Rascal. I believe, yeah, Dr. Rascal, and that was for the Coral Vintage Stakes. Group 2 was a Group 2, and so Kaya, shout out to you, brother. You're doing your thing. You're having a great flat season. He is having a really, really good flat season. On the off the back of a quite a decent season last season, and so Kaya's on his way to doing some really, really, really great things. And he's having some great mounts. He's having some really, really great mounts. And so shout out to his agent as well. And Kaya, you keep doing your thing. And yeah, so we appreciate Kaya. So Kaya is our Jockey of the Day, winner of the Group 2, down at Glorious Goodwood. Glorious Goodwood. And so yeah, so we're going to talk about a few things today. Later on, I did get a lot of feedback on the first episode. So thanks to everyone about that. Dice and I, we've picked out a few things that we want to kind of like really focus on. We get to those things later as well. I think every week as well, I want to do a trainer of the week. And it's not necessarily for me. It's not going to be who has the best win percentage of the week. But I'm going to start off because I think that he's going to be winning this quite a bit. And that is none other than the James Owen, who's having another incredible flat season. Obviously, James Owen being an incredible dual purpose trainer in both disciplines. And for those who are new to horse racing and new to this sport, when we say a dual purpose trainer, or in two disciplines, we have jump racing, and we also have flat racing. And although they do overlap each other each year, they're two separate seasons usually. Mainly, our jumps racing is in the fall and winter months into the spring, and then flat seasons usually end of spring into summer, and then in early fall. And so we really, really appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. And so make sure at this moment you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, stay tuned for a great episode. Cool. Welcome back to North of the River. This week we're talking about one of the most beautiful race meetings in the world, glorious Goodwood. It's set high on the South Downs in West Sussex, just outside Chichester. Goodwood isn't just another race course. It's often described as one of the most picturesque tracks anywhere in the sport, with panoramic views across the English countryside and even out towards the coast on a clear day. The race course itself, let's go into a bit of the race course. So the race course itself dates back to 1802 when Charles Lennox III, Duke of Richmond, first held racing on the estate. More than 220 years later, glorious Goodwood has become one of the highlights of British flat racing calendar. Across the 5-day festival, you'll see some of the biggest races of the summer. There's the Goodwood Cup, one of Britain's premier staying races over 2 miles. And we'll get into what staying and sprinters and stayers, we'll get into all of that. The Sussex Stakes, often called the Duel of the Downs, regularly brings together the very best milers in Europe. And we'll talk about milers. Then you've got the Nassau Stakes, a Group 1 for elite fillies and mares, plus races like the Vintage Stakes, Lennox Stakes, King George Stakes, all of which have produced future champions. And so these things become important as you start to really, really learn horse racing. You're looking at some of these Group 1 races for big champions in the future. These are great fields. And as for this year's meeting, plenty of attention is on Scandinavia, who many bookmakers have made the one to beat in the Goodwood Cup after his recent top-level performances. Other well-backed horses during the opening stages of the festival include Al Hodaiba in the Vintage Stakes and in the Qatar. Goodwood. It's not all about betting. One of the most unique events of the week is the Marco Magnolia Cup, and I personally think that this cup is really, really dope. It's a charity race featuring inspirational women from business, sport, fashion, and media, none of whom are professional jockeys. They undergo months of training before competing, raising significant sums for charity and helping promote greater diversity within racing. It's become one of the defining moments of the festival. I know a little bit about that particular race. That race really, really intrigues me because I know two of phenomenal jockeys, amazing jockeys who have done that race and done well in that race. Huge shout out to Sienna, huge shout out to Khadijah. Those are the homies, and make sure you guys go check them out. See, I believe it's Sienna said. We'll put it up. We'll put their the links to their social media up, so you guys can see. Follow Khadijah and Sienna. Super dope. Honestly, they're so dope. Maybe you don't even get this podcast or this kind of content from me if not for those two ladies. They're doing amazing things. Elvis, what do we got next after Glorious Goodwood? Syndication. That's the main thing. So yesterday, or last episode, not yesterday, but last episode, we spoke about some topics that we'll be discussing over the course of this series, of having an in-depth conversation about horse racing and learning horse racing together. And I spoke earlier about the comments that we've been getting, and some of you guys wanting me to kind of slow down and really, really talk about some of the things I'm kind of throwing out there. And everything was done on purpose, guys. So I appreciate you guys. I did want to kind of just give kind of like, continual previews and some kind of like vibes of some of the conversations we'll be having over the course of the series. But syndication, I'm really, really excited about the interest and the intrigue of syndication, right? And it's really, really cool because we're not really talking about numbers yet. We're going to talk about numbers. But before numbers, there must be interest. There must be intrigue. There must be people having the feeling and the vibe that they want to be a part of the sport. They want to reap some sort of benefits from the sport. Or they have a passion to be a part of the sport for whatever reason, right? And it's really, really, really cool to see the interest. So Let's talk about syndication really, really quickly. One sec, Elvis. With syndication, um, syndication gives people an opportunity to buy and be a part of a horse that's in training, a horse that's racing's journey, right? It is your opportunity to be a part of a conglomerate, to be a part of a group, to be a part of a team of people, um, and allows you to take advantage of being an owner, right? There's benefits of being a part of a syndicate. And so, for example, and we were talking about this earlier here in the studio. If you if you yourself is a sole owner, right? Every single dime you have to account for when it comes to owning and racing that horse. It is all on you financially. That is sole ownership. Let's say that there's a partnership, two people, to keep it simple, because two entities can be in a partnership, but that's a little bit more complicated. But let's say two people. Those two people are a partnership, and they're running and splitting the costs between them to owning and running and racing that horse. When you begin to get to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up into, you can have 100 shares into a horse. That's when we start talking about syndicates and syndication, which allows people at a certain price point to buy a certain percentage of ownership of a horse. So, for example, if you split a horse into 100 shares, usually the owner or the person who's selling those shares, right, or the syndicate itself will retain, either they'll retain 60% or they'll retain a 40%, or they'll retain maybe a 50%, and whatever's remaining becomes available to those who want to get into syndication. And those shares will be sold to those who can afford whatever certain price point. And so loads of different syndicates have access or own different horses, right? And so there's loads of different syndicates. There's loads of different syndicates that do things a certain way, and have been for years. And we have some really, 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 really cool new syndicates that in a moment we'll talk about. One that I really want to touch base with you guys about, because it's really, 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 really cool what they're doing. But quickly, with syndication and the shares, whatever's left becomes available to the quote unquote public. And what you want to do is buy a 10% share or a 5% share, and that gives you the rights and the access of ownership to that horse. So no, you didn't buy the horse, which is another cost. No, you're not responsible for keeping the horse healthy and care for the horse and vet bills, but your part in the horse, your percentage, is now connected and combined with the other shares and the other shareholders at that horse to cover the costs, right? And that's syndication. Quickly, and we're gonna have full episodes. I was talking to the guys. We're gonna have full episodes about syndication. Syndication is everything. Syndication is so important that the next thing I really, really want to talk about is this. And I asked the guys when we were in pre-production this because we talked in our last episode, and Dice, we were saying, well, I was saying, right, syndication is the future of horse racing. That's what I've been saying. I didn't just make that up. I think that is a general consensus across the industry, especially here in the UK and definitely in America. That syndication is the future of horse racing, and that could be true. It is true. I am a champion of syndication.
So if syndication is the future of horse racing,
Yeah.
what's the future of syndication?
If syndication is the future of horse racing, then what is the future of syndication? What is syndication's future? Syndication future is, first of all, there's going to be a better way of promoting syndicates to the general public. Right now, to find out where a syndicate is usually you'll find out about syndicates because stuff might be being passed around at like corporate jobs and within C suites or members clubs within London and different cities around Europe. Uh, Unless you're really in horse racing or have connection with horse racing as far as just being a fan or closely situated, close to a race course where the culture around the area is more connected to horse racing, you might not understand or even know about the opportunity that syndication provides. And that's because um, the marketing of syndication hasn't trickled down into certain cultures yet, right? And, that's a huge part of why we're here. We want to understand certain things or know certain things about certain industries for whatever reason, whether it's just to get into a new passion or a new hobby or feeling really connected to horses or finding niche industries where there is money being circulated and wondering if there's a little bit of peace that we can have just on some, you know, hustling and building wealth and all whatever type of reasons you may want to get into certain things. Some people do it for power and presence or impact, right? Which I think that's where I stand. I'm going to speak a lot about the economics of horse racing. That is a huge passion of mine. I just love it. I love to see where the money flows and where the money goes. That's what I like. In most niche things, that's what I try and study. So on a passionate level, that's where I'm at. And what I'm doing in this podcast is just sharing my my research, my experience of like following the money, and I think syndication allows us common folk that don't come from a lot of money, that may not have a lot of money, but want to take part. Syndication provides this opportunity. And so it's very, very, very important. Now, the traditionally how syndications have worked is, they would put ads in newspapers and maybe some in magazines, but those newspapers and magazines might be more readily available or accessible for people that were already involved in that culture. And I'm going to say the culture of it, not necessarily the sport of it, but the culture of it. And so we don't really understand syndicates because they're not in our face, right? It is also it's very much a niche thing. It doesn't have to be, but it is. But niche is cool. We shouldn't shy away from niche. We shouldn't shy away from it. You guys know me. I'm a huge believer in niche. I'm a huge believer in subculture. I champion subculture. And for me, horse racing is subculture. Especially what it is now. It might have been more part of culture, 200, 300 years ago. But at the moment, it is definitely subculture as far as the rest of how the rest of the world experiences it. And so those things will develop over time. But as time now is progressing, does that model of only being able to see something in a newspaper, only being able to see something in a magazine, or these things not coming across our algorithm, is that going to cut it to try and get a lot of people to know about syndication? And so the future of syndication, first and foremost, will there'll be better marketing of syndicates. There'll be better advertising of syndicates. There are people right now that have the disposable income, that would love to be a part, but have no idea how to do it. And it shouldn't be. And the thing is, it's not even being gate kept. It's just being marketed elsewhere. Pulling the race card, North of the River, Cotswold Cowboys, the entire conglomerate, and North of the River Media, our job and our passion is to allow things that have been only kept behind the veil as far as for certain demographics and for certain cultures. We want to start to trickle down all of that sauce and all that juice into our vibe, into our culture. You know, yeah, we love hip hop, we love R&B. Yeah, we wild out. Yeah, we party. Yeah, we really know what's out here. Yes, some of us really come from entertainment and the creative industries and in music, and we're saucing, we're vibey, and yes, we understand about Royal Ascot, and yes, we understand about like the Grand National, and yeah, we might have gone once or twice, but it's not horse racing as an overall concept is not on our radar, and I think that horse racing gives us access to the beautiful beast, which is what I really think is at the core. I think people want to feel more connected to horses. That's what I truly think. And I think we live in a capitalist world. And horse racing provides the opportunity to potentially make money and potentially be close to horses. And I think the future of syndication just needs to do a better job of getting that idea out to the people. But also how syndications are also ran. And that brings us up to our highlight today. I've come across these guys a while ago, and I think what these guys are doing in racing is so inspirational, especially for a media and music company like North of the River, on how we also want to try and get into building our syndicates and building our network and building our community. So I want to read something, guys, about Run Fast Racing. I want you guys to read it because I wanted to give them their just due. I didn't want to just go off the top, even though I know everything about them. I wanted to write up something and get a little bit more information that I can share with you guys. With Run Fast Racing, imagine there is a syndicate. Imagine that there is a new, fresh idea of being able to get people involved in ownership. You know, what if there was a fresher way? What if there was a way that didn't seem so isolated from hip hop culture or Afrobeat? So one company that's really caught my attention recently is Run Fast Racing. They're trying to do something horse racing has talked about for years, but rarely pulled off. Make ownership cool and accessible for a younger audience. Founded by music executive Adam Kluger, Run Fast Racing lets fans become owners of an entire stable of racehorses for around $100 a month. What's really different is the culture that they've built around it. They've partnered with artists like Lil Wayne and Lil Yachty, and I think that's Alejandro, the Latin artist, giving members access to owners' boxes, winners' circles, exclusive events, and even payouts when the horses in the stable win. It's less about the traditional syndication and more about turning horse ownership into a lifestyle in a community. That is the future of syndication. That right there is the future of syndication. That is a great model. Excellent. So essentially, to put it in some more layman's terms, they are going out, they're buying the horses already, right? So we'll continue to get into bloodstock because before you get into syndication, the bloodstock ethics and understandings and analytics all come in, get involved before syndication. So they're doing all of that first. So they're going around, they're buying some of the best horses they can. But how they're going about it is they're teaming up with Lil Yachty and Lil Wayne and other really, really great artists, right? That have a following, that are dope, right? Teaming up with them, also financially, right? This you know me, I'm going to talk about the economics, and we're not going to hide away from how we build these things, right? It's important how we know. So to put the money together, buy these horses, and leave space for the general public. Anybody now can go to Run Fast Racing right now, and for as little as $100 a month, you will own a horse with Lil Wayne and Lil Yachty for $100 a month. Now, I would need to get into the smaller details because with some syndicates, the $100 a month might be at the lower tier, and that might not grant you full access to the boxes and stuff. That might be a tier up, so you might be talking about $200 a month or $250 or something, along the lines. I'm not exactly sure, but if you're spending $100 a month and you get to go into the box, y'all need to join that syndicate, and y'all should be joining our syndicate. But I love what they're doing so much that I have to, we're about the research, we're about the business, we're about the economics, we're about the new marketing, the new media of horse racing. So we have to have shed light on the amazing work that they're doing over there. I think it's super, super dope. That's new. That's fresh. That's a vibe. I don't think horse racing in the UK has thought about that, right? For the newer generation, for the newer audience, right? So north of the river, we get Stormzy, we get Fecky, because I know Fecky's already down. We get another person, we buy some horses with them. And then we allow everybody else that wants to be a horse owner with some of their favorite artists, I actually really shouldn't be saying this out loud. I'm giving the whole business plan away in this. Maybe we'll just cut all this part out, but we'll have it for us. Is imagine having some of the best UK artists that we do work with in music, right? We're not doing horse racing work with them, or we're not coming from left field. We're in the same industry as our peers in this thing. And we work with really amazing artists. So what if some of the UK's top artists got together? We got a few of them, and we got a team of horses. We started a racing team and allowed the general public to have subsidized costs for horse ownership. That's the future of syndication. That's an idea, right? It's not the only idea, but it's an amazing idea to get the ball rolling. To do what essentially all horse racing needs is just to look a little bit cooler. That's its only fault. And the thing is, it's only a fault because horse racing itself is saying that it needs to grow. That's it. It's not me saying that. For me, horse racing is a vibe. It's a vibe. I'll be there whether I see people that look like me there or not. I'm gonna be there, sticking out like this. I'm always going to be in and around it. But I think the horse is so important. I'm a firm believer that horses heal. And any connection to them does the trick. I'm a horseman first. I'm a horseman first before I am a horse racing fan. Before I am someone who loves marketing and entertainment and all of those things that also the industry or the arena and the culture provides. But I'm a horseman first. And I know that wonderful beast can heal and provide hope for a lot of people that are going through a lot of things. And it's important to have some sort of connection with them. And no, betting on them might not be all the answer. And no, syndication might not even be the answer. But I know one thing, and a true intent to be closer to the horse is the start of your next chapter. Anyways, this has been another episode of North of the River presents Pulling the Racecard. Want to thank you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Pulling the Racecard with the 3. NOTR World on Instagram. You can find me at Love DJ. That's LOVEDEJAY. And we are here recording from the jungle. We love you. See you next time.